We are back with episode 4 of WandaVision. We interrupt this program. Um, Exciting.
Yes.
What do you...
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I just almost cried.
You did. This is not the first time we've seen the Marvel banner, but why this time?
Because
you could feel it.
because something about this, I have loved all 3 of the first episodes of this show, but something about this felt like a Marvel movie.
Did we get the banner before or after Monica came back?
Before she came
from the blip. I think it was,
no, after she came back from the blip.
That's why.
So that's the thing where it's like it had that moment, that feeling of excitement when we were sitting in the theater, you know? It just was very exciting.
I love that we're actually going to, it appears, unpack the ramifications of
the blip. Yeah, a little.
That, I mean, even beyond Spider-Man Homecoming, that it's like, oh, we're going to be dealing with this.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And it's massive
also,
and well thought out.
it's encompassing itself in the universe, in the Marvel universe now. And in a way that, like, while we knew something was up with Wanda, and like it's now like we know things.
So this is very funny because it took 4 episodes and 3 weeks to give us exactly what we thought was happening.
Yeah.
All this did was confirm all of my initial suspicions.
But it was so fun.
But it was very gratifying.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I am expecting a reveal, a kind of like a dun-dun-dun from this series. But this was, in that regard, I'll compare it to season 1 of Westworld without really spoiling anything. But in a general sense, there's a mystery to be solved. Sure. And a lot of us kind of figured the mystery out.
Yeah.
And some people were mad about that. And Evan Rachel Wood had to be like, sometimes the journey is the destination.
It's about the journey, for sure. And that's the thing is, like, I love...
So there was that quality to this.
And I do love that we got those 3 episodes of just, like, full sitcom shenanigans. But I'm also so glad that, like, we're in it now, Ariana. We're really in it. And I love it.
Well, we're going to have some more sitcom shenanigans.
There's, like, some Full Housey type of stuff.
The thing that I like the most about the sitcom shenanigans, other than just being really great experimental work, like a really great send-up of those genres, is it's managed to really establish and craft a tone. Because we were promised 2 years ago at Comic-Con Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Right.
And we were told that it was going to be Marvel's first horror film. Mm-hmm. And that sets a bar.
It does.
That sets a standard. And I was trying to figure out what that would be like. And the thing with horror is it's so much of it is tonal and atmospheric, and the withholding of information and stuff. It doesn't have horror. There's a misconception that horror needs to be graphic or bloody or rated R
or
in order
even
to
jump
be effective.
Scares, and it doesn't have to be any of those things.
And
which is why the Twilight Zone is so scary.
Well, I was curious how we were going to do this with Marvel, because obviously Marvel is sternly very in a PG-13 place.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, what is PG-13 Marvel horror going to be? Which is possible, because this isn't the first Insidious movie. No.
I feel like one of the Conjuring movies might be PG-13.
There's one or two very highly regarded horror movies that are PG-13. And when you establish the Nick at Night sitcom, the vintage, the retroness of it, it allows the couple of moments that break from that to be genuinely upsetting, like genuinely unnerving. There's a scene in this episode where for a glimpse, for a second, we see Vision dead.
Oh, God.
It's like a zombie.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is you kind of can glean that something's wrong as he's coming into the foreground.
Yeah.
He's gray in this way that you're like, well, this is weird. What? And when she finally turns around and you see him, and it's mostly the wound in the head and the dead eyes.
Because it's where Thanos plucked out the Mind Stone.
It was genuinely upsetting.
Super upsetting.
In a way that if they just showed that to us a different way, I'd be like, he's gray. I don't that's not scary.
Yeah, but it's like in the midst of what's just happened where she's just sent Monica
Rambeau
out of the compound or whatever, and like everything that's going on, and we're like, well, is Wanda the villain of this piece?
Well, at which point we get essentially, as of now, I'm sure there are more elements, but as of now, we get hard confirmation that yes, Wanda not only is doing this, but she's choosing to, and she's in control.
I do still think
to
she's
a degree
coming in and out of it. I think she's coming in and out of her awareness of what's going on.
It's denial.
I think every time she lifts above the surface, that's when she's like, nope, and I'm gonna go back down. And she's like, and I'm gonna force this away.
Wanda's bargaining.
Yes, she is. I would say she is in the anger, denial, bargaining section of the stages of grief, for sure.
For sure. And she's got reason.
I am very curious what the deal then actually is with Vision. Because that's
He's dead.
No, I know, but I don't know that he can be a total construct of her imagination, because everybody else is seeing and interacting with him.
Well, and he can reason with her because in episode 3, he started to be like, Wanda, this isn't right.
Yeah.
None of this is making sense. And she undid that real quick.
Yeah. So that's the thing.
I mean, he's a synthesoid. I don't know what that means. He's a computer program.
Yeah.
So on some capacity, I mean, she might have his programming somewhere woven in.
I want him back. So let me have my
We'll see. I mean, we'll see how this goes. Because furthermore, I don't understand the extent to which I think these are one-offs. I don't think this is a TV show that's going to get renewed for a season 2.
Ah, okay.
And so that's sort of fascinating. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I really try to have moments in my life where I try to actually ground myself and think about the here and now and what is happening. Mm-hmm. And I was like, think about what we just watched on TV.
Yeah.
Like, this is cinema quality. Like, there's no line between film and television anymore.
Yeah.
That has absolutely evaporated. Mm-hmm. And it's just wild to be able to be doing something this kind of weird from something so mainstream.
Yeah.
From something, I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than the MCU.
It's interesting.
Right now.
It's interesting that you think probably no season 2, because it's not something that actually ever occurred to me, because I sincerely think that Falcon and Winter Soldier could be a show that ran for 10 years. You know what I mean?
Having not seen it,
it feels like that kind of thing. But you're totally right. If these are like interstitials, like in between phases,
I think these are stories they wanted to tell that would not suit a movie format. Because a lot of times people try to break it down as popularity. They'll be like, well, Wanda's not popular enough for her own movie. And it's not necessarily, I mean, that is true, but it's also the story you would tell isn't, because that's where we're going to get Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Well, and that's the other thing where we talk about how the MCU is like in Kevin Feige's iron grip, where it's like, you could make a WandaVision movie, but it really needs to tie into everything. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing where it's like not going to tie in easily.
The way that starting phase 4 with her and knowing the plans for Doctor Strange, I wouldn't be surprised if she's a major fixture of phase, like if she is in a sense the Thanos of phase 4.
Oh, you think she's going to be the villain?
Not necessarily, but I think she's going to be the catalyst. Deal. Okay. I mean, I want to see. I'm so curious. I like her, and I think that there's so much potential and possibility there. Did we say all we wanted to about the blip? That was... It was just cool. It was just neat coming back. Yeah. We got Sword, which is, I guess, they didn't really explain it to us. It's just a thing. It
feels like adjacent to S.H.I.E.L.D.
Sword and S.H.I.E.L.D., yeah.
Also, I guess...
Looked phenomenal.
What is Monica's mother's name?
Maria,
yes.
She is dead.
R.I.P. Maria Rambeau. Poor Carol. I don't think she got to, like...
Maybe we'll see.
Say goodbye.
Maybe she'll be in this.
Maybe.
I have no clue. Maybe. We also got acting director Tyler Hayward.
Are you into him?
Daddy, yes.
He's suspicious.
Daddy may play with danger.
Yeah, you will play with danger. I don't trust him.
I did not get that until you said it. However, I buried the lead.
Yeah. Darcy.
Darcy pinpointed that she was like, he's weird. And I was like, oh, well, although, I mean, we're episode 4 into a 9-episode run, so maybe this is where we would be getting that. Yeah. But yeah, he's something. We got Darcy back. You and I have explicitly been asking for this since day one.
Well, okay, we love Kat Dennings as like a separate thing.
We also love a sidekick.
And I do love a sidekick. And
a tertiary character. Like
Darcy, as played by Kat Dennings, is like just that punch of like millennial sarcasm that the MCU needs, because it can get overly earnest in a minute.
It's also the kind of thing that and there's been a fair amount of synergy between the Marvel properties, but I'm kind of like, she should have been showing up. Just even if it's a small role. Yeah. And I mean, luckily we got some of that, like from Maria Hill. I really like how they've handled Maria Hill. I have a feeling we will be seeing her sooner rather than later. There just should be
like a lot more of this with the side characters.
Well, and it's what I wanted from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but the thing is, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was a TV show.
And it was a whole other...
Yeah. This is still part of the... This is cinematic. Yeah. This is...
I mean, Ghost Rider was in, and he was cool, but it's like also why?
And so... Yeah, I don't know. I really and Wu
Randall Park.
Yeah, Randall Park is Agent James Wu. He was really great, and his chemistry with Kat Dennings was really great.
I saw something today, and it was like hands up for the actual only gay character in the MCU, and it was him because he was like asking Scott to go for tacos that one time in the one Ant-Man movie, and I was like, all right, I was like, I'll allow it.
He had his little magic trick.
He did, yeah.
So that bit they were doing towards the beginning of the episode is that the town of Westview is fake. Is not real?
I think that whatever Wanda's doing is like shorting out everyone's brains.
Oh, so Westview is real.
Yeah.
But the people from around it did. Yeah. So it's under the dome.
Sort of, yes, yeah. Because basically what it sounds like is everybody that is like in the show.
Because when they were like, Westview doesn't exist, but then when they were like, where are you from? And they're like, Eastview. And it was like,
yeah. So I think
that sounded like a rivalry.
I think everybody that's in the show, WandaVision, are residents of the town.
Oh, she just took over an actual
I think
town.
She sort of took over a town. But I think she didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah.
And so it's like, the implications are fascinating because they were going through and doing facial recognition.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And so they found out who Deborah Jo Rupp was, and they're placing them all as the people who they are in real life.
That's even weirder. Yeah. So kind of like the opening of the first episode where her Vision just showed up in a car and took over town.
Basically. Yeah. I am very curious. I am waiting for that aha moment, which I'm sure will be in the finale, where we find out like what was the actual trigger for Wanda? Was it just like, was it realizing that Vision is actually dead, or was it like all the battles, or was it just like what? I want to know what was the catalyst.
I mean, I think my obvious knee-jerk reaction is straw that broke the camel's back.
Sure.
I mean,
sure.
Because also remember she
dropped a coffee cup the morning after.
To pieces. Just to pieces.
She woke up the next day in Avengers Tower and she was like, time for my coffee.
Well, you also have to remember she took on Thanos.
She did,
and gave him a bit of a what for.
Yeah.
So, I mean, losing your brother, losing your family, losing your brother, losing your lover, losing yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just...
Yeah.
I think she snapped.
And that's when she snapped.
I just would love for I would love.
I mean, there, but for the grace of God, go I.
Yeah,
you know,
I want answers. I'm so into it. Like I am waiting. I am sort of like half my brain is doing that thing that I know I'm not going to get, where I'm waiting for her to like wake up in a hospital room and be like, oh, it was all of this.
I wonder if we're going to get any of sitcom Wanda when she comes out of this. Like, I wonder if she's going to have a different personality slightly, because she was terrifying in the scene with Monica Rambeau.
Yeah. When she expelled Geraldine.
Successfully went to
a dark place.
A Disney evil queen place.
You're not my neighbor. And you're definitely not my friend. You are a stranger and an outsider. Right now, you are trespassing here. And I want you to leave.
That would be interesting. Could you imagine her up against, in the Multiverse of Madness, her up against Benedict Cumberbatch doing like
Snark.
50s sitcom shit? Amazing. Amazing. I would love it.
So yeah, and I mean, we're doing that
just
thing.
like, they're in the middle of something and she just brings out a pot roast.
Well, you're going very literal.
No, I know,
I just
like...
mean the sense of humor.
Sure.
Or the kind of the spunkiness. I wonder, because we're getting to kind of an Emma Frost place.
Okay.
So
yeah,
we're setting ourselves up for failure.
Of course. She's gonna be exactly the same.
Or she's gonna die at the end of WandaVision.
Oh God. Well, we at least know she has another movie.
I guess. Remember, they lie through their teeth about this shit, but
I loved how invested Darcy was.
Just in the show.
This story. She was like, oh my God, twins. Oh, it's so nice. And Randall Park just sort of looks at her and she's like, I'm invested.
But I'm invested.
It was really cute.
I still have very high hopes. I'm still playing that game where I can't decide what is going to pay off in what way, because we had the guy who was in a hazmat suit going under through the sewers.
Yeah.
And when he reached the
line,
the
energy field is what Darcy
the force field.
Or Monica.
He turned into a beekeeper. Yeah. And the only reason, because you were like, well, why bees? And the only reason I could come up with was a beekeeper suit was the only comparison to the hazmat suit. It was the only thing that would fit within that world. And the same with the jump rope. And so there's a part of me where I'm like, to what extent is this stuff going to pay off? Because I don't want to be overanalyzing things and expecting.
Well, I don't
want to be expecting an answer for the four-toed statue and never get it. Of course.
And I also had a thing where it's like, at one point, Wu and Darcy are like at the truck and there's these 4 extras that are walking towards them. And then it's like, only Wu is at the truck and Darcy is like watching him from the like office or whatever, and those same 4 extras walk in the same formation, and I was like, huh?
Was that a clue or did they reuse footage?
Exactly. And so
we're getting to that place a little bit.
I was like, oh. I was like, it's probably nothing. But I want it on record just in case it is something that I clocked it.
Oh, yeah, because the drone. Remember, they sent the drone in, and that's what the toy helicopter was, because the drone didn't exist, so it did have to change. Yeah. Well, and frankly, I mean, the Monica to Geraldine, you know, it did seem like they're in a haze, because she kind of remembers that she's a real person.
I am curious how much Monica will remember now that she's out. Now that she's out, like, what will she know?
Because Catherine Hahn
knows something. Okay, so that's something that was
remember I had that theory that she was a witch herself.
That's something actually that's very interesting to me, though, because Herb knew who he was also. Or he knew that something was wrong.
Yeah.
And so my curiosity is Darcy and Monica and Wu, I'm having a really hard time. They have a little conversation before she goes in, and she's like, do we know about it because we're not connected in some way? So like maybe Catherine Hahn and Herb, like Agnes and Herb, are like not from Westview, but they were there when it happened.
Well, because I was gonna say, remember the doctor, he was gonna leave to Bermuda, and then he had that really cryptic line where he was like, nobody gets to leave this town.
Yeah.
So and that's another question I have, is what is the time frame? Because it seems like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
In a way that when I was watching the first 3 episodes, I thought maybe months were passing. So
yeah.
I also noticed that this doesn't mean anything whatsoever, but I did notice that she got pregnant at the end of the episode where she joined their beds together.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm wondering where these babies came from.
Sure. I mean,
other than the stork.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of.
He's dead.
Yeah. She just like manifest babies, or does she steal someone else's babies?
Well, again, this is where the synthezoid, like, I mean, she's magic and he's
a robot.
Yeah.
I mean, he has. So I've seen a lot of people speculating about Vision's penis on the internet.
Forward me some of these.
No, it's not like renderings. But it is curious. You're right. It is curious what is actually going on here.
I feel like we're in an Edward and Bella place.
just closed mouth kissing for 3 years before you get married.
I'm just like, so this undead vampire has enough viable sperm to impregnate a human woman? And it's like, I thought his bodily fluids were venomous. Like, how did this work?
No, I definitely agree with that. And it's also, It's very that in that sense when we're getting into like Vision's biology, we're getting maybe a little deep into it, but
but part of him is biological, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have more questions than answers.
Me too. Same.
Well, let's wait for
a week.
7 days, 6 days. We need to go prep for Drag Race, so